Welcome into North of the End Zone, Episode 1. This is the inaugural start of this brand new CFL podcast. My name is Brady Locke. I am more than excited to be here, joined by my co-host who will be with me every single week, Owen Reid, and a very special guest here today. We have Gianno Alosio on a nice little check-in to see if he can bring in some nice debate and flair for this very first episode. But yeah, as I said, my name is Brady. I'm going to be your co-host, and I am so excited for what we have here on the show because there's going to be so much that we're going to be breaking down in regards to the CFL that we just can't do on the National Rundown. So without further ado, I want to allow my co-host Owen Reid to introduce himself because you guys may not be familiar with what type of guy this man really is. He's going to bring so many good hot takes, so much great knowledge. Without further ado, Owen, introduce yourself.
Look at that, Brady, you got me blushing, man. I love it. You're in a Brady jersey. My dad is basically crying from his office. He loves the Patriots, but nonetheless, I appreciate it, man. I'm super excited too. For y'all who don't know me, my name's Owen Reid. This is my first in-person kind of podcast, as in I'm on screen, so I'm going to have a ton of fun with you guys breaking down the CFL. A little bit new to the CFL, however, I'm a huge Hamilton Ticats / bigger Argos fan, so I'm going to be depressed throughout the year. It's going to be a great time. Super excited for that. But nonetheless, it's going to be great. We're going to talk a lot about the game recaps. We're going to break down teams as we kind of head further into the season. And we get the honor of being next to the puppet master, or the hand, as I like to call him, Gianno Alosio, who's funding it. So this is huge. Yeah. But nonetheless, we've got a great episode. Great. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, before I swing it on over to Gianno, I just want to address, he was the mind behind this show and really bringing it to life. So I'll kind of recap what we're going to do on the show. We're going to come in at each week, either breaking down a team, player comparisons, whatnot, just recapping the week as a whole maybe. But yeah, for this week, we're just going to go over each game, really give our thoughts, and we're going to have a lot to kind of go in. There's not too much that we can say because it's so early, but there was a lot of stuff that happened that, was really exciting. So I'll swing it over to Gianno, introduce him to maybe these viewers, but, really talk about his life, bringing this show to life.
Get to hear the life story. I'm so curious.
The whole life story to get here. I mean, we'd probably be way past like a 30-minute limit, but, give you guys the Cliff's Notes. Obviously, we're here. I've been on the National Rundown. We keep breaking that stuff down. We're going to keep going with that all season long and keep going with that. But obviously, there's some things that we just can't quite get to. Episode 7 was so long, and it's just like we don't have time to break things down a little bit more. So North of the End Zone is going to have everything you need for the CFL season. Breaking down people. If it's a player, a game, a team, anything. Basically, Owen and Brady are going to be able to take you guys through that throughout the year, and you'll be able to keep up with your favorite teams and all the games and players that you might want to follow, and get a little bit of a more analytical edge with it. So that's kind of what we got going forward. But we also got a good episode today. We're going to kind of break things down today, see where we're kind of at, kind of introduce ourselves and give you guys all a little bit of a debrief of what the show's all going to be about.
Yeah, so really, like you said, diving right into it. Very busy week. Although there was only 3 games in the CFL, they were all pretty, exciting and great watches. So we started off kicking off the season with that Hamilton Ticats Montreal Alouettes game. Man, that was a game for sure.
That was a game.
Going, really felt like Hamilton had that game, and it was just a collapse, I feel, in my opinion. But we'll get into it, obviously. They had a 24-10 lead in the third quarter before, Robert Kennedy had that beautiful pick off Bo Levi. Was it so much Bo Levi's fault, or was it just a great read by Robert Kennedy? That remains to be said here, but that was a very interesting play. Bo Levi, he did throw over 300 yards, but, was that a stat pad? We'll get into that again. But again, Montreal came out on top in overtime, 30-27. There was a costly fumble there in overtime by Hamilton. So
Yeah.
they definitely made some mistakes and left quite a few, opportunities on the board. I'll swing it over to you, Owen, to start us off. What were your thoughts on this game?
My gosh, if you're looking for a way, if you're an NFL fan, or if you're like a U Sports University fan and you're looking to get into CFL, honestly, that was the game to do it. You're watching the new young stud, who everyone's got high kind of on the board, Davis Alexander, who I've heard you guys have just apparently talked about a bunch on the National Rundown, but I won't spoil that. But you got him throwing deep balls. You got the almost 40-year-old Bo Levi Mitchell airing it out to Kenny Lawler every so often, which, by the way, he was absolutely covered the entire game. But I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, if you're looking for like a marquee matchup between two teams that just won it all this year, it's this game. I mean, the first thing I just want to point out is, you even mentioned it a little bit, Robert Kennedy's pick absolutely just sparked it. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, they had control of the game. Their running game was really big, which is incredible to watch. But really, this guy has had an incredible story. I love it. I heard it from CBC the other day, if you don't mind me talking about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But in 2024, this guy was an NFL Charger. He was on their practice squad for a little bit. He had a solid showing. I don't think he ever had really any big minutes or anything like that. But nonetheless, he got cut from the Chargers 2024. He was dealing with severe depression, and then he was later that same year cut by the Ticats when he signed with them.
Wow.
So this guy comes back 2 years later against the team that dropped him, and he not only gets a pick six to put them back in the game, but he also hits the ball free in overtime to give them the chance to win the game under the new rules. And so in the press conference, this guy was amazing. He just full on said, "I appreciate Hamilton and everything they did, because if that didn't happen, a big fire probably wouldn't have been lit under me." That is incredible aura. What do you think about that, Brady?
Yeah, I mean, I was not familiar with that story at all. That's amazing, because, anytime you're coming back going against a former team, but it feels like that's a lot more than just that. It feels like there was so much he was battling through, getting to that point, and that was just kind of like, at that point, that would almost be like your final thing. Like, you get cut, that's seems like rock bottom, and then he comes right back up through the Alouettes and makes that pick. Wow, unreal. And like you said, I think that really, it felt like the game was over at that point. Like, that pick just sparked everything. So yeah, Robert Kennedy, man, I got my eye on you now. That's for sure. Gianno, what did you think of that pick? I know you're a big Bo Levi guy, so seeing that, what was your initial thought?
It was definitely a little bit heartbreaking. Obviously, me and Brady had a little bit of Davis Alexander, Bo Levi. I was team Bo Levi. He was team Davis Alexander. Definitely a lot of nice stuff. I like I said, I'm very high on what Davis Alexander can be. But obviously, being a Bo Levi guy, I'm a Bo Levi believer. That was not the start we were hoping for, especially it being in overtime. It was just not the hope, the game ending you were hoping for.
Yeah.
Especially because they were up. I think Bo Levi did enough to win that game, but at the same time, you got to protect the ball in critical situations. That was a costly mistake. So that one definitely hurt. But I also got to tip your cap to the Alouettes and say, hey, they were the better team. They played better. They deserved the win. So sometimes it's just football.
It is, and I think that's just how it goes. But for me, I said this on the National Rundown, like, this is far from over. I think this is the battle. I'm looking to win the war, and I think there's going to be so many of these matchups throughout the season and going into the playoffs. I think these two are destined to meet again. So totally. It's going to be great. I do want to take a minute, though. Like, there were some plays in that game from Davis Alexander that were just monumental. Like, the throws he had were just, and honestly, Tyler Snead was a big part of that too. Like, the way he was playing, man. Like, he caught some nice balls. So yeah, I think those two are dangerous. Obviously, Philpott's dangerous. Like, they have some weapons, man. So
they really do
play like that. Like, it feels like this could be a really, really Grey Cup run. But Owen, what do you think?
I agree, man. I mean, Snead put up 160 yards on a casual first week,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He just looks so confident. He's the guy, the ball's going to him on a second down. He just makes the play through the rain, through the grit. In overtime, I believe he put them in field goal range
Yeah.
for I don't know his name. I think it's Maltos Diaz. Maybe hit it. Yeah, he hit the ending field goal. But that's just the guy Davis can consistently turn to just get things done. And I mean, like you were saying, Philpott, did you see that one-hand grab he had at the back left-hand corner? The guy's got hands. I didn't know his game before this year. But man, they played incredible on the Montreal Alouettes side. But one thing I'm gonna ask you guys a little bit, right, is how do you feel about Kenny Lawler just constantly getting double teamed? Good move, or were they just overdoing it a little bit early in this game?
That's a good question, Gianna. I want to give you that one. You look like you have an interesting look on your face.
Yeah, I mean, being in Edmonton for a lot of years, I've been used to watching our top receivers kind of get that same treatment. I grew up with Darius Bowman in 2016. That guy had one of the best seasons all time from a wide receiver, hands down. And then also Geno Lewis a little bit, in past years, but obviously, sticking with Kenny Lawler. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why this guy got $1 million contract, right? Like, he's a dog, and there's a reason why he's getting paid. He is 100% Bo Levi's top target. They had White last year, and he was, that kind of second star there that kind of helped, spread out the defense. But now, to be honest with you, they're kind of in a weird spot where Kenny Lawler's the number one option. You're going to force Bo Levi to get to the opposite sides, right? You're going to force him to go to his not number one target. For me, I like it because obviously it worked for Montreal. Will I say it's going to happen to every team? Probably not. As kind of Hamilton starts to figure out their offense a little bit more, I feel like that might not be as prominent. You know what I mean? When they start to figure out the run game, where they really start to use their offense, that might die down a little bit. But for me, I don't have a problem with it because sometimes some guys are just game wreckers, and you gotta actually play to them. You gotta respect them, and I think that Montreal did a good job of that.
Yeah, I fully agree, but I also think it's the other guys have to step up to relieve some of that pressure, and I think Keandre Smith looked really solid, especially that's his debut, right? Like he was playing really well. I think. Yeah, he was a rookie. Is he a rookie? No. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie.
So that's incredible. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know the guy before he came in.
Yeah. And then, I mean, they also had Weedfall played pretty well. He had that fumble, which was kind of unfortunate. But again, they have some weapons as well. So, it's not like I feel like the double team will come throughout the entire season. If the other guys can step up, I think that will definitely relieve the pressure. But, it remains to be seen. So we'll have to see how it goes. Is there any other, things you really are takeaways from this game that you have going forward?
Ooh, I got a short thing, and then I want to pose one question to you guys because it's completely new this year, which is gonna be a lot of fun. But Scott Milanovich, new play caller for the Ticats, he had a lot of different setups. If you guys were watching the game from the fullbacks, this guy did a tight end fullback like you see in the NFL. He did one wide receiver out. He'd do 3 wide receivers out. I despised the guy, but it looked like a little bit of Packers play calling out there. This guy was just constantly mixing up what they're looking at. And it worked for a while until their team just got almost tired. I don't even know. Just until the secondary started to read it. But I liked what I saw out of him. That's a lot of fun, for sure. Yeah,
I fully agree with you. And I think that kind of caught my eye, especially on that Weedfall touchdown when it was kind of a weird play, right? It was a jet sweep in the sense, but it also just kind of I wasn't expecting it from that point. And, it worked out. I mean, he kind of, danced his way into the end zone a bit, but still, I think it was a good, solid play call. But, Gianna, anything there?
Well, I'll say this. I've been watching Scott Milanovich for a long time. He was with the Argos for a long time. He won the Grey Cup in 2012 for that 100th anniversary Grey Cup. That was with Ricky Ray. That was a great team. I think that's where Chris Jones was the defensive coordinator for that team, and I know that because he went to Edmonton not too long after that. This guy was just a winner everywhere he's went. He's always been, really well, coached. He was with the Alouettes before he was with the Argonauts when they won that 2012 one. So he won it in 09, 2010, and 2012. This guy is just he's got littered with history in the CFL. I'm not too familiar with too many of like the NFL formations, all that stuff, because honestly, I have a lot of work to do on Sundays, so sometimes I'm tuning in. But obviously, I think that he knows what he's doing. There's been some questions about, okay, can he still do it at this age, and is he still got his touch? I think we're going to figure that out this year, but I for sure think that, he's always going to be in the conversation for, being one of the best head coaches in the CFL, throughout each season, and until he probably hangs it up, because there's not many three-time Grey Cup champions that are still in the league at this point.
Yeah, 100%. Owen, did you have one more question you wanted to pose before we move forward?
That's right. I'll make it brief because I could talk about the Ticats for a while. They're definitely one of my teams to watch for sure. But new overtime rules. How do you feel about just no more ties? I think it's a relief. What about you?
Yeah.
I love it. I think ties are the worst thing. Like, you don't see ties in any other sport like NHL, NBA. Like, I know it's rare for it to happen in a game anyways, but it's just like, for one, it ruins records. Like, it just kind of throws things off. I think at the end of the day, why we're looking for excitement in the leagues, we're looking like for more viewership. Why wouldn't we want to see more football, right? Cool, you might be getting a little tired, but hey, you got to find that grid, dig deep, and win the game. So you're going to play all that for a tie in a football game, it just feels like a waste.
I agree. I think there was a tie last year with the Riders. I don't remember who it was against, but I feel like I remember it. It was either last year or the year before. That was so weird. The ties in the CFL. I agree, Brady. Like what they would do last year is they would have the mini games where it would be like you set up at like the 20 or something like that, and you get like you have to score, right? And I'm just like, it was so like just weird and pointless. I'm like, just let them play it like NFL rules, right? Like, go drive it down the field, and whoever wins, like, right, if it's a field goal or it's a touchdown, I feel it's more complete, right? To have a game-ending like score, it just feels right. You think of any other overtime in the leagues across North America, you outside of probably soccer, right? Like, you look at it, somebody has to win. And I think that fits the CFL. Like, to be honest with you, a tie doesn't fit because this isn't soccer. Like, football, you look at the NFL, you look at the UFL, college, everywhere, there's no ties. Like, it's just, it makes sense to end on a win and actually have a full, complete story. So I love it, especially as somebody who's watched the CFL for a long time. I love it. I always thought the rules were a little bit of a gimmick and maybe not the best thing. So I'm excited that it's finally gone and we have something that's a little bit more exciting and entertaining.
Yeah, I think what the CFL does, I mean, what Canadian leagues do in general, like, they test things out, they see what's, unique, what can they make about their league that's unique, and, sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't, and I think they realize that doesn't work. But again, like, I love the overtime rules in college football. Like, the atmosphere is just so unreal, and it's like, that's the best. So if you could, like, somehow take away from that and match that, like, any way you can make it better, I think that's what you got to do. Owen, thoughts?
No, completely agree. I'm personally a Michigan guy, go blue, so I love overtime rules personally. But nonetheless, I think what the CFL is doing is great right now. It looked like a lot of fun. I love late game heroics, and I think the just ending ties just helps bring more to that. So nonetheless, but we are already yapping, so I'm going to move on to the Blue Bombers.
Yeah.
Stampede, what's word, Brady? You want to kind of recap that a little bit?
I mean, hey, that was a game. That was a game as well. Like that. Again, we're looking at a good battle in the West. It was really a thriller. That one went back and forth for me. And at one point, I really thought that the Bombers were going to pull away a bit, and then the Stampede just came right back in it. That costly fumble by Vernon Adams, that felt like to me was going to be the decider. And then right back, literally like almost the next play, Caleros, boom. So there's actually some stuff I want to be said there, but I'll wait till we kind of get more into the debate. But yeah, it was a thriller coming down to the last pretty much play there. There was the Rouge point controversy as well, which for me, Rouge points are kind of, I'm still trying to get familiar with whatever that is.
Agreed.
So that's to be said, but Brady Oliveira, he looked very good for me. He was a stud. That is going to be some guy. He might be most outstanding player again. So we'll see. But I'm gonna swing it over to you guys. Let's dive right into the stats, the plays. Gianna, I'll go to you first here.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I told Brady on the national rundown, we're going to get him used to Canadian rules with the Rouge, all that stuff. You guys didn't get the full Rouge of old. This is more of a more modified Rouge. So you've probably seen the clips where it's like a guy kicked. It happened a year or two ago with the Argos. I think it was against the Riders. They kicked a game-winning field goal, and they sailed it out of the back of the end zone, and they missed. But they won the game because it was a point. So those things happen. That's not supposed to happen anymore. There's going to be some more rule changes in 2027. But obviously, sticking with this game, I think first and foremost, yeah, you're right. I was looking at Brady Oliveira's stats, 113 rushing yards. This guy is unstoppable. Now, I know Brady's going to love him because he's wearing the Brady jersey. His name's Brady, and he's going to support Brady Oliveira. So I can see that. I honestly looked around as well. Tim White, I talked about him coming over from Hamilton. Great wide receiver. Really excited to see what he can do with Zach Collaros. But also Tommy Neal. This guy played with Saskatchewan last year. He was number 2 on the receiving. Like, where does he kind of fit in? For me, there's a lot of room up for grabs with the wide receiver room in Winnipeg, but also in Calgary. Like, I was just looking. You think about Jalen Philpott, right? The other Philpott brother. 96 yards receiving. Like, it feels like it's his team. Reggie Bagleton is on the IL, and he's kind of their superstar wide receiver. But when he comes back, I start to look at this, and I'm like, hey. And Tevin Jones. Tevin Jones was a great player for the Elks and the Riders over the past 2 years. I look at this, I'm like, okay, they have something to work with here. There's not anything to really be worried about if you're Calgary. You got reinforcements coming. You lose by 2 points, but to be honest with you, I actually think Calgary was the better team for most of that game. And I know that may seem like a hot take, but, they scored 21 points in the second quarter, and I think that says something.
Totally agree. Hey.
Owen, go for it.
Oh, my bad. I interrupted you there.
No, I was going to swing it to you anyways.
See, my hot take, right? I have not watched much Calgary Stampede. I haven't watched much Blue Bomber. But Vernon Adams Jr. looked better than Collaros for most of that game. Yeah. And that's my crazy take. The way he moves, I don't know. He's got a great way he scrambles outside the pocket. Especially confidence. He's ran a lot on second down. And he's made crazy throws to his left, to his right. There's one across to the end zone, or at least maybe yards before, that got him into scoring position. It just showed his versatility. He played incredible. Aside from quarterback talk, though, adding on to Oliveira, fun fact, enters the top 5 on Blue Bomber all-time rushing, with apparently now over 5,500 yards. So
that's a lot.
Congratulations to him. He's in the top 5. He passed whoever, I don't know, Jerry James. He's probably a legend. Sorry, Jerry James, if you're listening to this. That would be a huge accomplishment for us. But nonetheless, kind of a small thing I wanted to bring to you guys. It was pretty small, but if you're into the trenches, you'll be happy about this. Jake Ceresna. I don't know him much, but 31 years old. Goes to Winnipeg from the Elks. Giono probably, he's nodding his head. He's already sad about it. He was just cutting through this O-line like butter. I'm telling you, 3 sacks against Vernon Adams Jr. He made a statement. He looked commanding at 31. But yeah, Giono, you look pissed. What's up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know Jake Ceresna really well. I've watched a lot of his game film. He was an Elk, so at a time and place, he was an Elk. I think in 2023, he went on to lead the league in sacks, and then he was traded to Toronto for Curly Gittens Jr., who is now on Hamilton. And he basically was re-signed with the Elks after the Argos season, so he was in Edmonton last year. He did not have the best season. He was paid to be in there as a kind of the sack guy. He did not play as good as what people may have hoped. He had 1 sack all year, I believe. So obviously, he surpasses the season total in 1 game. Winnipeg's probably very happy with that. I think, he had a lot of skill, and there was a reason Edmonton brought him in. But, for whatever reason it may have been, it just didn't work. I've always think he had a really bad injury as well last year. I think that there's a lot to really be excited about with him. He's always been a great player, and I was really excited when he came to Edmonton. I think the Blue Bombers fans, though, they got to be excited for Jake Ceresna. Like, you cannot not think that this guy's probably going to lead the league in sacks again if he starts off with 3 and you start to see those little flashes. So he's a great talent. I think if you're a Bombers fan, you're absolutely ecstatic at this point. You came off times where you got like Adam Bighill at linebacker. Now you kind of got another guy at the defensive line position. you really start to feel like, okay, it's like this guy might be really something we can work with on defense.
Totally.
Yeah, he looked really good, and I think you're right. I think Bombers, have a little bit of hope to look forward to.
Yeah.
But before we kind of wrap up this game, I want to give my respect. I think the stats don't really fully show the impact that the quarterbacks had on this game.
Yeah.
I want to give respect to Caleros because I have said some really choice words about Caleros in the past on this national rundown. Despite that interception, which I don't fully think was like entirely his fault, but I don't think he needed to throw that either.
Yeah.
I think he played really well, and I think he still has it, and I didn't think he really had it anymore. But I need to give him his flowers. I think he made some really good plays. I think he's a great game manager, aside from that throw. That interception throw was like a little iffy to me.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was expecting it to get picked off anyways, but still.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
go ahead.
Shout out to Travis Kelce's roommate in college, Zach Caleros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's wild.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
Watch him get a best man thing at their wedding.
Probably will, yeah.
Zach Caleros.
Honestly, to be fair, like even Vernon Adams, like some of his throws were wow. Like he had some deep shots to fill pies. So
Yeah.
again, I want to respect the both of them for sure.
Yeah.
Like the stats don't fully show it, but I just want to give them their flowers. And I think Caleros, I'm going to be keeping more of an eye on him than I was in the past. And I think he's going to have he might have this Bombers team really in a decent position going in the playoffs. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts there. We'll go to the Elks Redblacks game. We won't spend too much more time here. Gianno, I know I'm going to go to you first here, but your Elks won 29-21 in a pretty close game to those Redblacks who are, not the greatest team, but again, not a team you want to necessarily take lightly in this league, especially because anything can happen. But your Cody Fajardo put up 266 yards, touchdown. Jake Mayer, he struggled a little bit. There's a lot to be said there, but this was a turnover game for sure. I felt like maybe a certain team didn't really just want to go fully take advantage of it. But again, the conditions were tough, right? It was raining, brutal stuff. So you're just trying to grind out a win at that point. I'll swing it to you, though, Gianna. What did you think of this game?
I gotta say, I was really high on the Elks coming into week one. I think it's pretty clear that my hot take for this year is that the Elks are going to find a way to get into the playoffs. I think I called them that they're going to make it for the third seed in the West, not the East. They're not going to cross over. I think first and foremost, the thing that stuck out to me is Justin Rankin. This guy is like the absolute workhorse of this team, right? He goes 102 yards rushing and then 94 yards receiving in the air. I'm like, okay. This guy is unstoppable. I will go out on record and say, in my opinion, there is only one guy better than him in the CFL at the running back position, and that's Brady Oliveira. Yeah. That's it. I think it goes Brady Oliveira, and then it's Justin Rankin. This guy really came out of nowhere. Last year, I was expecting Javon Leake to be the starting running back. He had a great year the year before, and then Justin Rankin kind of comes out of nowhere and steals the job. There's a reason for it. This guy just really seems like you can't bring him down. He's going to be the workhorse in that backfield. I really think him and Cody are going to do some magic. The O-line has kind of gotten fixed, and honestly, there didn't seem like there was too many times where it's like, hey, they let Cody down in this position. Cody is a huge, great player for this team. I'm really high on him. He's the 2024 or 2023 Grey Cup MVP. There's a reason he won that Grey Cup, and I think he's starting to put it together. Not to steal too much of the thunder, but, looking at their receiving core, there was a lot of questions going into this year, right? Kalen Julian Grant was the number one receiver for Edmonton last year in receiving yards. Honestly, he's not that kind of superstar you probably want. But they signed Austin Mack, the Alouettes connection with Cody Fajardo. I really think they did good there, but he had a kind of a slow game. I think it'll take some time for him to get up there, but also, again, Kalen Julian Grant's right there, and then Justin Rankin's right there. So maybe they've kind of figured it out. I think there's some things they need to figure out on defense as well to kind of, where do they stack up against a more tougher team. They're going to play Montreal on June 20th, so that'll be a nice test. But, man, I can't say enough about the Elks in week one. They finally won a week one game, and for the first time in a while, it feels like there's a little bit of hope in Edmonton. But it's just a teeny bit until they kind of prove it against a tougher team.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and take it away, man. What were some of your big takeaways from this?
So, Giono, I hate to do this to you, buddy, But I'm not gonna lie, that the week 1 game proves absolutely nothing for the.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad saying it, but if you
That's okay.
watch the game conditions, it was just sloppy. It was a running game. I think definitely, like, I love what you said actually about what you never know how a team is until they face like the better team, right?
Yeah.
But man, the Ottawa team low key got bailed out by the weather, which is crazy because they still put up 20 and they still lost the game. But it could have been really bad. Ryan Dinwiddie just didn't have his team straight. I mean, the run game looked all right, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, the Edmonton Elks really just, I don't know. They forced, I guess, a lot of turnovers in the terrible conditions. But yeah, I gotta see more of Fajardo. Rankin looked great. He looked so explosive. I love the guy. He's a little tank.
Yeah.
And what was it? There was, I don't know, Redblacks. They got to get their stuff together. They had a botched QB snap. They had, I think, a few drops, which could be attributed to weather, of course. But at the end of the day, they let off 9 flags, which isn't a weather thing. That's just Dinwiddie not being able to control the team yet. So that's kind of my takes on that.
I like how you say that. Do you really think that this could be, are you going to give them a couple weeks to get them straight, or do you kind of worry about this going forward?
You know what? I'm gonna give him a few weeks. Jake Meyer for sure. He's a little bit of a project right now. I gotta say, I think he'll be okay. I don't see him as the huge franchise guy. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't know. 22 for 37 for 200 yards in the rain. It's not terrible, but I think just the identity behind the Redblacks needs a lot of work, especially defensively. It's just they need to get to practice, put their head down, get grilled a little bit, and just focus on doing the technical stuff right. Because if you're losing on false snaps and penalties like that, your team isn't connected. So
as much as you can say, putting up so many points in this game despite the rain, you might think it's a defensive thing, but because there's so many flags, turnovers, whatnot, having your defense on the field so much, it's it's hard to have them want to fight in that game when your offense isn't doing a lot for you. So
exactly,
it's tough. I don't know. It's such a hard game to break down, I feel, just because there's so many factors where you can't look at it as just football, right? So I don't know, Gianno, anything there?
Yeah, I wanted to add something because one of the things that was really shocking coming out of the preseason was that Jake Maier did not, he was the one that did get the starting job, but a lot of people, myself included, kind of thought it would be Drew Brown's job.
Thank you.
Looking back at that, how long is the leash for Jake Maier? We don't know. That's one thing I really want to pose to the team here. But, I want to read off some stats for you guys about Drew Brown, right? Because 2024, this was his first real year to be like, okay, I'm a starter. He moved out from under Caleros in Winnipeg. This was his first season, with Ottawa. This was really shocking to me, just how good kind of he was. So he threw for 3,959 yards in 2024, 18 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Not too great, but also at the same time, throw for 18 touchdowns. It's a pretty good game. What else did he get? 312 completions on 464 passing attempts. Pretty good. That was his best season, right? Last year he got injured, so last year he threw for 2,389 yards. So that's he was on pace for that. That was in 11 games. If he would have stayed for another 6, he probably would have gotten right up around there. He threw for 14 passing touchdowns. That's 11 and 14. In 11 games he threw for 14.
Wow.
In 2024 he threw for 18 and 17. So he was kind of on pace to have a better year, right? If he didn't get injured. Now he's not the starting quarterback, and the injury probably does play a little bit into that. But I'm really shocked that they wouldn't have went back to him at first. Jake Maier is not a guy that's, again, he's done it before, and he's a project, like you said, Owen. He's definitely a project, and I was really shocked to be hey, what are we doing here? I went into his stats Calgary, he did not have the best Calgary stats. He really didn't. He never showed he could be the number one, and whether that was just playing on a bad Calgary team, you never know. But I looked at it like, you compare it to guys like Bo Levi, who goes over from the West to the East and succeed, or Cody Fajardo. They're just different players, right? Like, Cody had already went to a West final. Bo Levi had won 2 Grey Cups at that point. You start to think about it, and I'm like, okay, what do they see in Jake Maier that we're not seeing? I don't necessarily know, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. Like, how long do you think the leash is until they go back to Drew Brown?
Oof.
It's tough because I saw that, like, Dinwiddie was pretty, like, confident in his pick for Maier to be the starter. So it's like, I feel like he's going to give him, I think they're bye this week, so they're going to play 3. I would say he has 2 more weeks to maybe, like, really prove that he can show something. If he shows nothing in those 2 weeks, then he's probably gone. But if he shows a little bit of promise, I would give him a couple more weeks. He just has to keep showing a little bit until he can finally break out. But I don't know. It's tough. I'm just kind of going off what I think the head coach would do. If it was me personally, I probably would see what you have with Drew Brown, maybe give him a shot again. But I don't know. Owen?
What do you think, Owen?
I'm gonna relate it back to the Argos real quick. It may be a little bit outside opinion, but I think honestly Jake was kind of just put out there, like, to kind of as the lamb to the slaughter. I think it was wet conditions. You don't want your kind of iffy physically quarterback going out in that condition, just getting hit, especially by a tough D line that was rushing on a bunch of the play calls. And so I think they did for what's the word, Jake, I can't pronounce his last name. I swear. I think they did for him what the Argos are going to do with Kelly. That's my hot take. I don't think Kelly's starting week 1. I think Arbuckle's in there at least for a little bit, and I think this may be a terrible take, but I don't know. I think Kelly's at least a week 2 guy, maybe a week 3 guy, but I think they want to feel out his fitness a little bit. So I think they did the same thing with Brown.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
That's a fair take, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, hey, that's pretty much going to do it for our recap of the week as a whole, but I want to give each of you a chance to give me kind of either a standout team or a standout player that really stood out to you week 1. I know it's tough. Week 1, there's not a lot to take, but I think there was some promising performances by players and teams. So, Owen, I'll start with you. What kind of stood out there?
Oof. Okay. Let me see. I like I said, I like the new look Hamilton Ticats. They are definitely I'd say, team to watch in that way. Like, they played really well. I think if they can just kind of establish a good identity behind playing better in the second half, then I think they have a good future this season. Standout player, love Robert Kennedy. I love his story. I don't know. I hope he's not a one and done secondary guy. I hope he succeeds. I mean, he seems like a genuine dude.
Yeah.
And then my worst team, this is kind of just me adding randomly.
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
I think they were just terrible. So, good luck, Dinwiddie. You left Argos, so have fun. Go, Brad Miller.
Okay, very interesting. Giano?
Yeah. I think for me, the most standout player would be Justin Rankin. Again, I really think, he's going to have a great year this year. Do I think he can win MLP? Probably not. But, I think, anytime you're competing with Brady Oliveira for, like, the top 2 quarterback, running back position, I feel like you're kind of you're doing something right. So for me, that's kind of my number one. In terms of my teams, I gotta go with Owen. Like, I just don't see a lot of promise in Ottawa. I think every team in the CFL has a lot of, like, stars on there, but Ottawa feels the most incomplete. In terms of my best team, I still got to go the Riders. I'm really looking forward to that West Final rematch. I'm sure somebody else is going to mention that as what they're looking for this week. But yeah, that's going to be absolute cinema. It's a little bit of a, it's not a gut punch to BC, but to raise your banner when you beat them, in the West Final and you're opening against them and you're going to have the banner raising. That's going to be a little bit of a crazy thing. But
sending a message for sure.
It is sending a message, but I think it'll be great. I think it'll be a fun game. Rourke versus Harris. Can't get much better than that, man.
Agreed. I'm super excited for these games this week, especially one of my first weeks. Really paying attention to CFL. I think it was a great one, but I think this week only gets better. Right? We got Riders, Lions. Ticats Bombers is Thursday, if I'm not correct.
Yes, Ticats Bombers on Thursday, and then it's Argos Alouettes on Friday.
Yes,
that's a great battle, man. Always a great team.
Oh, man.
Montreal.
Reid, great.
Any sport.
3 great games. So, yeah, I really do want to kind of just cut it off there. I think this was a great, starter episode for, north of the end zone. Super excited for what's to come. Obviously, we're really just touching the surface here, but as we keep going forward, there's going to be so much more that we can, really pick apart, break down. And we got 2 great football minds, me and Owen. We're going to really just dive right into this. I already see some promise here, but as we get more familiar with the league, it's only going to get better. And we hope to have Gianno on here as much as we can because, hey, another talking head just to, put some put some real promise to the topic.
Exactly.
But, hey, we hope to get many more guests coming on here because, the more the merrier, of course. But I think that will do it here. Any final thoughts, Owen?
No, let's see. I'm outside. It's pretty dense. I'm sweaty. Hair's a little greasy right now. So definitely gonna say go Argos, but oh man, we're gonna get beat. We're gonna get beat this week. This could be fun. But
yeah. Actually, I'll end it with this. Actually, I want to get your thoughts. Riders, Lions. Who do we have in that weekend matchup there? Gianno?
I'll let Aloisio start here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Riders. I'm gonna go Riders. Yeah, I think it's almost. I don't know. I just feel like Saskatchewan still got it. I picked them as my number 1, but these are the best 2 teams in the CFL going right at it. I'm surprised this wasn't like a week 1 matchup, to be honest with you. But I mean, hey, I'm not the CFL schedule maker. I think it's gonna be this could be one of the best games of the year. I'll say that right off the top. If everything goes to plan, it could be one of the best games of the year.
Totally agree.
Owen, are you with the Riders as well?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go Riders, but I'll throw it to you for the last kind of guess because you haven't given us your take yet.
I was hoping that we would get there because, last week I was outmanned. I had the Alouettes over the Ticats. We came out on top. That was the battle. We're looking for the war. But again, I'm going to take the underdog here and go the road less traveled. The BC Lions, I think, do come into Saskatchewan, take them down. Take them down. Make a statement in this week 2. Yeah. Hey, I think they're going to ruin Banner Night, and that would just be, very poetic.
That'll be fun.
They sent a message to Saskatchewan. Now BC's sending the message right back that, hey, we're coming to take this west this year.
Yeah. We should definitely we should keep track of our records for who we pick, all that stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be great. We'll see who comes out. We'll see who comes. Yeah, you are 1-0, but we'll see who comes out on top.
Brady go 2-0, man. That's
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
The ego is already flying.
Who do you guys got?
Honestly,
who do you guys got for Hamilton, Winnipeg?
Ooh, Hamilton. I'm going Hamilton. I think we're gonna bounce back.
Is it in Winnipeg? Is it in Hamilton?
It's in Winnipeg. Yeah, it's their home opener.
I love Hamilton. I think Winnipeg though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Hamilton for that one. I can't see Bo Levi not stepping up and him having a greater game. But I'll say this as well. Obviously Toronto, Montreal. Are we all going Montreal in that one, or are you going with the Argos?
Oh, he's going Argos.
He's going Argos.
Not too.
That's fair. That's okay.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we've locked in our picks there. We will leave it at that. North of the End Zone, Episode 1. Make sure you guys stay tuned because this is going to be a terrific season, and I'm super excited to see so much more CFL coverage. But if you haven't already, tune in to the National Rundown and the Canadian Fast Break coming soon. So we have 3 terrific shows here on Off the Line. But with that being said, I'm Brady Locke. That's Owen Reid and Gianno Aloisio, and we will see you next week.